Welcome back. And to you, Christian viewers out there, you're preparing for the Yuletide, the Christmas, any which way and every which way. Honestly, we cannot help but talk about this period in time. To you, our Christian brothers out there, it is a period of sober reflections. It is a period that is paramount in Christendom. And at the same time, there are a lot of things that we should do in line with Christianity. With us in the studio is a friend of the house, Dr. Chuba Keshi. He is a publisher. He has published materials, books in Christian philosophy, solo and in company of other authors. And this morning he is here in the studio to share his thoughts, his ideas, his philosophical mind that makes him a publisher with us Nigerians. My brother, you're welcome to this station.
Thank you very much.
Like I said in the opening, this is Yuletide period. Every Christian is happy. We are counting the days now. The countdown is just about maybe 5 days, about 5-6 days. Today is 20, and then we got 5 days to go. Let us take us through the Christian aspect of it. What is Christmas to a Christian?
Okay, thank you very much, Bola. Literally put, Christmas means the Mass for Christ. The Mass for Christ. Christ's Mass. That is what it means, literally.
Okay.
But if you talk in context, Christmas represents so many things. It's about the birth of Christ.
Okay.
Maybe if we look at the origin of Christmas, it will throw more light into the whole thing. Now, 25th December, there's been a controversy whether Christ was born on the 25th of December or not.
Mm-hmm.
But first of all, 25th of December used to be the day of the Mithra, which the Romans had two pagan festivals in the month of December. One is Saturnalia. Saturnalia had to do with the worship of Saturn, the god of fertility. Then Mithra, which is on the 25th of December, was about what they call Deus Invicti, Citrus Invicti Lati, which was about the worship of the unconquered God, Sun God, the worship of the conquered Sun or Sun God. That is on the 25th of December. So when Christianity began, there was a challenge for Christians. There was at that time the state could hardly be separated from Christianity. So if you remember, Pope Gregory XIII was the one that gave us this current calendar
they're using. Yes.
So they needed to undermine paganism and to uplift the glory of Christ.
Okay.
So it became, what they did was to replace the worship of the sun with the remembrance of the day Christ was born. But that's not all.
What you're saying is very controversial. That a date is a date that was adopted based on a practice that was there.
In fact, there are some people that do not even celebrate Christmas in December, but they will tell you that Christ was born in October.
Yes. So these are issues. But you see, why I want to go into the 5th December, you know why?
Go ahead.
In the year 221, there was this priest.
221 BC. AD.
Yes. His name was Sextus Julius Africanus. He was a Jerusalemite. He was born in Jerusalem in 180 AD.
Okay.
So in 221, he wrote a 5-volume treatise, called Chronographia. Then that was the first published Christian chronology. He relied on a combination of civilizations: Egyptian civilization, Judaic civilization, Greek civilization. To publish the treatise, 5-volume treatise. Now, and then he relied on the books of Isaiah, mainly Micah, Hosea. These are people that lived about 800 years before Christ, and they all predicted the coming of Christ. So he
those are the ones that make up the Old Testament.
Yes, right? There were so many of them. Ezekiel, Daniel, they all did. But majorly Isaiah precisely predicted the coming of Christ. So that combined with the books of Matthew and Luke about Christ's chronology, he now published, that is Chronographia. Now, in that treatise, he discovered from research that the Immaculate Conception, as Catholics would call it, that is conception of Christ, took place on the 25th of March. If you count 9 months from the 25th of March, it ends 25th of December. So,
is there a veracity or a fallacy here?
No, what I'm saying is that it was a book that he researched on, and published. And I said he relied on history, he relied on archaeology, and all that,
astronomy and the rest of it.
So he said that the conception to the 25th of March. So Christ was born on the 25th of December. So that is why I go with it. But the important thing is that taking plus the fact that paganism needed to be downplayed and Christ uplifted. 25th of December becomes the day Christ was born.
Okay,
now from what you've said, from that research,
yes,
calculated from the Immaculate Conception,
yes.
And so was it a happy miracle that it just happened that the date coincide with the day of the worship of it?
Well, God knows the beginning from the end and the end from the beginning. It was a major festival, the Mithra. It was a major festival among pagans in the Roman Empire. So, and Christianity, we will say, began from the Roman Empire. Roman Catholic Church is the beginning of Christianity, as we know it today. So, God works in a mysterious way. His wonders to perform. So, just like he did with Saul and made him Paul, today in Christian theology, we say that Paul is the greatest, the GOAT.
There's a will
Christian. You see, but he was a persecutor of Christians. So why would God do that? If you read the story of Balaam, where God made a donkey to speak. So you cannot question God. And you can see that it has worked. Making 25th December the day Christ was born has heavily undermined paganism.
Okay, so what happened to those people who believe that Christ was born in October? What can you say about that?
No, they have their own beliefs. Anybody can believe. Some people are even saying 7th of January, which is my younger sister's birthday. Some people are saying that was the day Christ was born. So that is it. But if you look at history, if you look at which we see in movies, you find that when Christ was born, it was a cold time, and this Mithra worship, this Mithra day is the day of the birth of the unconquered son. What does that mean? The unconquered son, the son is being ushered in to take away cold winter. So, which means Christ was born during the winter to take away cold winter. And you find that what happens, and it is said at that time of the year geographically is the darkest time. So people used to light bonfires, for warmth and for light. So,
can I ask you this, because you're conversant with Christian philosophy? Some school of thought says this, that when Christ was born, shepherds were in the field. So basically that translates to, it is not winter. They are not in the field in winter.
Why shepherds watch their flock by night? Well, watching your flock by night will be in the pen or whatever. Do you understand?
Those days they don't bring them, they take them to the field to forage.
No, so how were they feeding during winter? Or how were they feeding? How were these?
No, they banned them. You're right. They banned them.
So, you know, so that is it.
Okay, let's leave it at that. That okay, it has become the norm now, because what we're trying to play out here is the fact that you know, you're a Christian. I am not. You know about it. You know about the philosophy, and we're trying to educate our viewers back at home about the importance of Christmas in itself. What you've done for us now is to give us a backdrop, a history of how it came to be. Now let's talk about modern fancy Christmas.
Yes. You see, Christmas has become a global thing. It's no longer a Christian festival only. In fact, the first time I went to Dubai was in December, and I was shocked that there was an Islamic, a Muslim country. I thought I've never been to Jerusalem. I'm not a pilgrim. You know, I thought I was in, not even Jerusalem, because well, that was where Christ was born. So you could, and we were talking about his birth, so you can understand, you know. So what I'm trying to say is that Dubai, and even China too, there was a time I went to China in December. It's the same thing. You would think you are in the heart of a Christian country. So it has become a global thing. But the message of Christmas is that of love.
That's what we want to hear, because it's more, you're saying it now that it's everybody's practice.
Yeah, that's of love.
So what are you preaching now that is everybody's practice?
It's that same love, you know, because even Muslims recognize that Christ was one of the prophets. Is that not correct?
Of course.
Isa was one of the prophets. And he brought the message of love, just as Muhammad brought the message of love. You know? So, yes. So Christ brought the message of love, and he was born on that day. And then there's a couple, one or two, another coincidence, or one or two of it, you know, that happened. Saint Nicholas was a philanthropist who was very wealthy. He came from a very wealthy family, you know. So at that time too, that's Christmas time, where people had made bonfires and warming themselves. There was this family that had 3 daughters, you know, who couldn't get married. So their father, the family was a very poor one. So their father, since no man could, and they couldn't even raise the dowry. No dowry is paid by men for men to come and take them. So the father decided to sell them into slavery to raise money. So Nicholas heard of it and came, according to the legend or the fable, and came and threw gold into the house. And the man's children were by the fire warming themselves, and the gold fell into a sock, you know. So, and it was another, so they almost had those girls were saved. But that is not the story. The story is that subsequently, people that were at that period, people will now be warming themselves and waiting for Nicholas.
Santa Claus to drop something.
So does that mean that St. Nicholas is now Santa Claus?
Yes, I'm coming to that, you know. So, according to a couple of European countries, Santa Claus is K-L-A-S. It's a German corrupted form of Nicholas.
Yeah, Klaus.
So it is the Americans that corrupted Santa Claus to Santa Claus.
Everybody has to make it fit his own language.
Exactly.
Corrupted or the coin it in such a way that
that's what I'm saying now. For example, Louis, in English we say Louis.
The French will say Louis.
So the Americans will say Santa Claus. But Santa Claus, to answer your question directly, Santa Claus was Nicholas, St. Nicholas. So people now also began to see Christmas as a time of saving souls. Grandma saved 3 people, 3 girls, 3 daughters of a man. So people are now giving gifts. So again, what we call the Christmas tree, the fir tree, or this pine tree.
Yes.
You know, it is green all through the year. It doesn't bow to winter.
Yeah,
it's green. So what was happening too, when they were doing those festivals to usher in spring and subsequently summer, was that they will now display the fir tree which has defied winter. You can see today too, it is known as Christmas tree.
Yes, it's fine.
So you can see that all these things are.
Now my question is, Christmas is to save souls. You've talked about St. Nicholas, how he saved those girls from being sold into slavery. If you were to assess the manner at which we celebrate Christmas these days, will you say we are celebrating Christmas actually to save souls?
Well, that again, you know, you talked about you know, the book I wrote in philosophy. It's only a solo effort. You know, I was just a co-author.
Okay.
You know, the University of Texas at Austin commissioned that project, and I was invited to make contribution. You see, when I was researching for that project, I discovered it's something that I'm sure both of you will know. If you remember the series run by Professor Ali Mazrui, those days, the Triple Heritage, you know, there was something that was happening on that. The way Africans worship, the way Christians worship, you know. I don't remember whether he also said Muslims. No, I think it was Christians. The way Christians worship is that they took the mode of hidden worship into Christianity, of loud music, you know, African Christians, not just global Christians, loud music, everything, you know, into the practice of Christian worship. In the same token, we have carried over our nuances, you know, our ideologies, you know, into the worship. Africa, Nigerians, or Africans generally, we are consuming people. Even in the worship of our gods, you could see
local deities.
Yeah, you could see the slaughtering of chicken, cooking of food, dropping those items, food items, into those bowls that they use for worship, you know, as celebration underlined by eating. So that we have carried into the celebration of Christmas. You know, we consume so much, we drink so much alcohol, you know, eat so much food. I am part of it. I enjoy myself.
You're not trying to disengage yourself.
I'm not disengaging myself, you know. I am African, I'm Nigerian. So that happens, but that is good as long as it is done in moderation. Because again, if you understand the psyche of Africans, you know, if you Google it, you will see many people have researched on it. Africans spend money on their emotions, not on their needs. So the Christmas celebration is one of such emotional outbursts, you know, for Africans. So you know, so that is demonstrated in so much consumption and all that.
Well, we're still discussing the mystery of Christmas, and we'll take commercial break. When we return, our guest will still be here to continue the discussion. Please stay tuned. It's still this morning on ITV, and we're still discussing the mystery of Christmas. We're still here with our guest, Dr. Chuba. He's still here with us, and Michael Anko is here. Bola, we will be talking about, we'll be discussing the mystery of Christmas. We are going to be talking about what people do for Christmas. What do you do for Christmas? People do a lot of things for love. So what do you do for Christmas, right?
Well, of course, yes.
Yeah, because every time they say it is Christmas, some persons will start planning for Christmas from January to December. How significant is that? Just to spend money.
Yes, I was talking about African nuances being carried into the celebration of Christmas, and then people are gathering money. You know, I remember when I was in active journalism, I did a very long article which I titled the Christmas bonfire, because people just burn, you know, a lot of things in the name of celebration. Now, like I said, there are two festivals around this time. One is Saturnalia, which is about the worship of the god of fertility, and then the other one is Mithra, which is about the god of the sun. Now, if you look at our own Africanness, you are Yoruba.
Of course.
The god of fertility is Oshun, is it not?
Go ahead.
Oshun. In Igbo, the god of fertility is Ani. Ani, that's the god of fertility. Now, the celebration of that god, which again is celebrated about in where we got Christmas from, about the same time, the Saturnalia. And in our own case, we do a lot of feasting when we are doing celebrating Anu. You know, it was later now called Iwaji in Igbo land. That is the New Yam festival. You know, when Christianity came, it stopped being the worship of Anu, but the celebration of
New Yam festival.
The New Yam festival, celebration of time of plenty. You know, so the Yorubas too, you know, they worship and Oshun, the god of fertility. So these are things that we carry into the celebration of Christmas, and people make it such a big deal because of the fact that we have this ideology of consumption, consuming nation, and it's affecting us. You can understand that a lot of politicians now campaign with it. We want to go from consumption to production, but year in, year out, government in, government out, it's the same thing.
You said something earlier. I want you to expatiate on it. When you were trying to say the kind of people we are. You said periods like this, at Christmas, we do have what is called emotional outbursts. That was the language. Emotional outbursts that makes us overspend our monies in the name of feasting. I want you to, let's not look at the world. Let's look at Nigeria as we are, and the practice of Christianity and the element of Christmas. Based on that, your language, emotional outburst of spending and feasting, is it in our favor at this point in time?
It is not. It is not. You see, but it is not about even spending at Christmas or any other festival. It is about an ideology. And I've always said this, I've always told my students, ideology resonates in every social action that we take.
Of course.
Yes. Even today, as I'm talking to you, on the 25th of February, is that not the day of election?
Elections.
Yes.
People will go and cast their vote, not based on their needs, but based on their emotions. It's that this resonates in everything. So it's not just about consumption, which is not good for us. We need to move from our emotions to our needs. We need to reason more with our heads, not our hearts. So you can see.
What is the reasoning of Christmas? Is it emotional or mental or
psychological?
No, it is emotional. It's emotional. It's spiritual. You know, it is for you to relate with your neighbor. You know, and celebrate love.
And eat a lot of rice, like you said. You eat, you drink a lot.
That is relative. That becomes now the problem.
It's not relative. That element of feasting is not relative because that is what consumes the pocket of everybody.
My question is, how did we, because if you look at the birth of Jesus Christ, right, people brought gifts. The three wise men came with their gifts, the shepherds came with their gifts, and all of that. But how did it become a tradition that, especially as we were talking about in Nigeria? I remember when I was a kid, when I was growing up, every Christmas, when it's getting close to Christmas, you have to learn to behave. Because my mother of blessed memory will always find an excuse to say,
not to buy you clothes.
Exactly. Even if they buy, she will look at sometimes when you commit an offense, she will say, these are your clothes, but you're not wearing them. So you have to begin to reason how you're going to behave very well so that you get to wear those Christmas clothes. How did we came to this level whereby we must wear, even adults as we speak now? There are adults who work hard, they must buy, they buy clothes every day, but they must buy
Christmas clothes.
Why?
We even joke with it. That's not my Christmas clothes.
Don't touch it.
When they want you to dress, when they will say, wear your Christmas clothes.
When I was much younger, you know, I was the friend of mine who had about 8 children. You know, he was looking for a male child. So he had 7 girls and eventually had a 8th one as a boy. But that's not it. It's just that we were driving. I was in his car. We were on Broad Street. So you know there's usually hold up there. So it was in September. And one man, all these people, they were selling cassettes those days.
Okay.
He was playing Christmas carol, and the people will get out of here. You stop reminding me. I just don't give me hypertension. Remind me that this thing is coming.
You just have to.
You know. So that's by the way.
Do you know that even my son just from November, he started reminding me, "Mommy, my Christmas clothes."
Of course, yes.
You see, but that is what happens, but that is not the ideal. You see, if you look at the entire thing, you find that even with the birth of Christ was not born in Reddington Hospital or St. Nicholas.
No.
He was born in the manger.
Yes.
That's modesty. Yet, those 3 shepherds came from the east. You know, I mean, those wise men came from the east with the
gold,
really expensive gifts anyway. You know, but they still came to that manger where he was born. So the important thing is not that is to show you that there should be modesty in everything that you do. You see, but there's a cultural conflict, like I'm saying. People bring in our attitudes, you know, our nuances into the celebration of Christmas. So the onus is on all of us, particularly those of us who are still in active practice, where people hear you and listen to you, to please tell people that the need they should address is love, not the outburst of your emotion. Show love to your people. The exchange of gifts that Santa Claus kind of taught us is what we should emphasize on. You know, no matter how little it is, you know, put a smile on somebody's face, because Christ came to preach the message of love, not of gluttony. You know.
But the case we have on our hands now is just a pure case of more gluttony than love.
That is unfortunate.
Than the element of gifting. And then, I want you to reiterate what you just said earlier, because I want you to say to our viewers back at home. You said what we do have is emotional outburst that makes us spend money any which way.
Yes.
Please tell our viewers the need to spend money reasonably, because that was what Christ preached, and the factor of school fees in January, please.
Yes. This January school fees, thank God that the calendar year now ends in June. If it was those days, it was ended in December. A lot of people will send their children out of school because you would have spent, and you know, beginning of the session is when you pay the bulk of the school fees. People will now squander it in December, only to be stranded in January. But even as it is today, the little, in quotes, compared with the one you pay in September, that you pay in January, a lot of people still cannot afford it because they've spent the money celebrating Christmas. You know.
What do you want to advise our people? Because in the process of saying I have to celebrate Christmas, people move around a lot, even when they don't have the money to travel. Some will travel with the money for one way, with the hope that when he gets to the village, he's going to ask his mother, who is there, a farmer.
I have seen that happen. Where I come from, I've seen it happen. People will travel home for Christmas. Nobody say, come home.
Are you Igbo?
No, I'm not Igbo. People will say, nobody is, as in there's no fuss. But they just want to go for Christmas. At the end of the day, they will spend everything they have. Then the little one that they gave, some don't even bring anything. But you must look for transport.
Yes. Yes, it must be there.
And give them to come back.
And you won't even buy the traditional bread that you must buy and take home without the way. You know,
what advice do you want to give along these lines? Because behaving according to none these days becomes a stupid gesture, because there's a paucity of funds in the system.
Yes, yeah.
We want our people, our Christian brothers, to reason along the lines of cutting your coat according to the fabric. If it's going to be a short, you say a short. If it's going to be just short without shirt, if you have enough fabric, go ahead, do it. So we need to educate ourselves without believing too much in that norm of saying, this is Christmas, I have to spend money at all costs. I have to impress people. Tell them what you do, psychologically and philosophically.
Among my people, I'm Igbo, among my people, especially those from the East, I'm from the Midwest, it was something that you couldn't afford not to do. And you could hear in June, a young Igbo man will tell you, it is Lexus I must take to the village in December. It is this I must take to the village. And you find people fighting themselves because you have deprived me of that chance to take
that's your June Lexus.
Yes. I once had this house help. He came to my house in September, and because he felt that what was being paid was big money, so by December he had planned that he must go to display. I said, but he just came in
3 months
in September, and he said he must go for Christmas. He must go for Christmas. So I now told my domestic staff then that there were about 3 or 4 of them then. I said anybody who was going to stay, because I was practically alone with my parents. My parents were alive then, and anybody who was going to stay, I would
double the salary.
Pay this kind of thing. I did not double. I would pay this
extra.
So the 3 of them agreed to stay, but he still wanted to go. I said, okay, go. And when he was going to say, okay, what about the Christmas bonus? You can't eat your cake. But that is not the guy couldn't come back. He called me in January to say I should please send him transport money.
Can you imagine?
I said, so he didn't make his had spent everything. So that is the kind of mentality that we should come out of. Christmas is not for you to squander what you have, but for you to show love. Unfortunately, like I tried to explain, the way we are made is such that, like I said, we pay for our emotions, not our needs. And even with political casting of votes, we still go to cast votes based on our emotions, not what we really need in terms of leadership.
Another factor about Christmas is this one right from when I was growing up, and it still happens, is the fact that people make jokes out of it, but it's a serious issue. You hear people say, you go for Christmas, by January, February, we'll see the result. What it means is that women, girls, get pregnant.
Yes.
So now that we talked about the god of fertility,
being involved.
I'm wondering
if that is not what is happening.
The reason behind all this.
Oh yes.
That by January, February, girls will be getting pregnant from Christmas celebration.
The way the spirit works, is such that God of fertility, I don't believe in as a Christian. There's only one God. But you see, God works through angels. So there could be angels, like Angel Michael is known for war. So if you are fighting and you're praying to God to help you in that war you are fighting, you are likely going to be
calling Angel Michael.
Needing Angel, not calling him, needing Angel Michael. So in the same token, God must have angels that talk about fertility. At least that was the angel that visited Mary. So what it must be doing is at that period of time, they may increase your libido.
Does it have to do with the celebration or the weather or?
That's all put together now. Anybody that at Hamatan cold has a way of increasing your libido. And so that all those ones are put together. So the angel, I don't want to say God, of fertility may be working extra hours during that time. And coupled with the fact that I have not researched on this, I'm just saying, coupled with the fact that we are in an outburst of emotion. Emotion has to do with physical gratification. Physical gratification, that is how you express your emotion. So if it's in terms of food, in terms of sex, all those things are put together.
What's your word for our girls? You have to say something for our girls.
There's a saying in my place that it is sex that you use to celebrate. That's when whether it is death or New Year festival or whatever festival. It's an adage among my people.
It has become a practice.
So all that they believe that.
Has it become a practice? I'm asking you categorically.
No, it has become a part of culture. Yes, practice. Yes, so it is accepted. That anybody, you just let yourself loose and do these extra things that you were not doing before.
Don't you want to advise our girls to play down on this, or are you sick?
Even the boys, because as we speak down, I'm telling you there.
Because the girls are on the receiving end.
There's somebody somewhere, a guy somewhere now that is already planning how to go and do something to one girl, especially in the village.
These are things they even work. They plan. And
they plan to
yes, and they observe the victim in quotes over the years. I know that during that period is when most people assemble in the villages.
Yes.
As I'm talking to you, a lot of calls. Because I'm not coming now. My parents are dead, and who am I going to?
You are a grown orphan.
I'm an orphan. Those of people going to orphanages should remember that I'm an orphan too. That's what I told Wale's son, who said he carry rice to orphans. I said, "How's it your father told him an orphan? I'm not saying my
to you, our viewers, we've been able to enjoy the technicalities of Christianity and Christmas. He has taken us through the whole gamut of the history, how he came to bear from the element of paganism that was inculcated into Christianity. One thing that says for that is, if you watch our calendar too, our calendar was formed as at that time by Roman kings based on what they do, and that is what we are still using as we speak. So I am not trying to dwell on an element of it was paganism that became this or that. It is a showcase of Christians celebrate Christmas. And the takeaway here is the fact that it is a period of love and gifting. A period where you put a smile on someone's face. It is not a period of where you kind of, to use the worldwide language now, it's not a time for you to Buddha. No. It is a time for you to say, okay, let me help my brother. Let me be my brother's keeper. And honestly, to you that are parents and guardians, another word here is, remember that January is coming, you are going to pay bills. Don't spend all your funds on feasting. Because like our guest said, Dr. Chukwukayi said, it is an emotional outburst that will make you overspend your money because you want to enjoy yourself. But one thing I would like to tell you is, 25th will come. It will go and it will become 26. But just remember that you're going to pay bills when January comes. My brother, I would like you to give one last sentence to everybody in Nigeria, all Christians in Nigeria. Whatever you want to wish them, go ahead, tell them.
So what I want to tell everybody is that the way you measure, you should measure your celebration, whether you celebrated well. It's not how many goats or turkeys you buy to eat, but how many people have you put smiles on their faces at this time of Yuletide? How many people have you put smiles on their faces? Until you do that, you have sinned, in quotes, because even the Bible says that gluttony is a sin. You cannot be over celebrating when people are hungry. You are committing a sin. So Nigerians should please reorder their priorities. This is a time for sober reflection, a time to show love, which Christ came to preach. Christ didn't come to preach eating, he came to preach love. So Christmas is about love, forgiveness, love, sharing, and may God help us.
Thank you very much. And to you, my sister, what do you have for us? Last bit.
Christmas, let's do what is best for you and do not overdo. Don't forget yourself in the process of celebrating Christmas. I'm still worried though about our young ones, the boys and girls who are planning to meet up, hook up, and do whatever it is. Please remember, if you must,
hook up gently.
If you must. So we'll take a short break and when we return, the program continues. Stay with us.